Hello, welcome to Rise and Unwind, Raleigh. My name is Mandy, and here every week we talk to special guests giving you lifestyle tricks, tips, and more. And this week we have this.
Stephen King wrote this book in 1969, and we're making this movie in 2024 when we shot it, but 2025 when it comes out, and like how still relevant it is.
All that and more on Rise and Unwind.
A simple bruise might not mean much for most of us, but for someone living with ITP, it can point to something much more serious. September is National ITP Awareness Month, and right now there's new hope for patients thanks to a recently approved treatment. Here to share more is Dr. Amit Mehta, a hematologist and oncologist. Doctor, thank you for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
Can you explain to us what ITP is in simple terms and how it affects the body?
Yeah, so ITP, or what it stands for is immune thrombocytopenic purpura, is a serious blood condition by which one of the main cells in the human body, called platelet cells, can go down to very low or even dangerous levels. And so the platelet cells normally help protect the patient's body, a person's body, from bleeding and bruising. So you can imagine that if it goes really low, then this patient could be at risk for serious bleeding and bruising as a consequence. So that's the main reason we care about this blood condition, first of all. Secondly, people can be affected by other symptoms as part of the condition, things like fatigue, stress, anxiety, depression, just from having such a condition, concentration issues that can affect their work, for example. So it is a serious condition for all these reasons.
What are some of those warning signs people should look out for?
Yeah, the main warning signs, Matt, is that people can have bleeding from any possible site in the body. So some of the most common sites will be unexplained nosebleeds that are frequent, heavy menstrual cycles, blood when going to the bathroom, abnormal big bruises showing up across the arms, legs, etc., but they don't know why it happened. It just kind of came up. It's happening frequently. So these are reasons that you want to seek medical attention, that possibly this or some other explanation is there, but you do want a diagnosis and answer for why this is happening to a person.
And this month is all about raising awareness. Why does that matter for this condition?
Yeah, so thanks for mentioning that as well. So as you said, that September is coincidentally National ITP Awareness Month. So as a physician, I feel that these kind of awareness months are really helpful in general for patients going through this condition, bringing awareness and attention for further research and better advancements in therapy, as well as bringing attention for those people out there who may be having symptoms like you mentioned, but may not yet have a diagnosis and they're looking for answers. So I think for all these reasons, this positive attention from these awareness months as a physician is a nice thing for the public in general.
Tell us about this newly approved treatment and how it's changing care for patients.
Yeah, so one thing exciting is that we now have a new therapy that got approved by the FDA. So I'm happy to be here, first of all, from the Raleigh-Durham area, but secondly, that I'm happy to be here as a spokesperson on behalf of Sanofi to discuss this new treatment called Wayrilz is the name of this pill. It's spelled W-A-Y-R-I-L-Z. But this medication was approved by the United States FDA just a couple weeks ago for patients who have persistent or chronic ITP who have had insufficient response to at least a previous therapy. So therefore, by giving this treatment, we're able to directly counteract in a very targeted fashion with this pill the exact pathways that are involved with this condition developing in the first place. And as a result, the platelet counts that are going low in this condition in ITP can become much better and to a medically safer level. So, of course, these things are studied in large clinical trials. So in the major phase 3 clinical trials that for Wayrilz, they found that patients who take Wayrilz had rapid and sustained improvements in platelet counts that help patients get to a much medically safer level. And they also looked at other things in clinical trials also, like effects on fatigue and other quality of life type of issues as well. But importantly, platelet counts were able to go up successfully with this pill therapy.
And where can families go for trusted information and support?
Yeah, so a couple things. One is that Wayrilz.com is the website, so people can easily go to Wayrilz.com, patients, people that are family members and friends, people looking for information for not only about the condition in general, but also for the medication specifically, the FDA prescribing information, as well as some important side effects, just to mention very briefly. But there are some common side effects like any drug, so you want to talk to your physician, things like headache, nausea, abdominal pain, diarrhea. We have to watch for infections. We have to watch for liver problems. And also those patients who are women of childbearing age, they should be an effective contraception while on the therapy and for at least 1 week after finishing or taking the last dose of it. And we check a pregnancy test beforehand. So like all these things, go to the website, Wayrilz.com, for those interested and are wondering about the therapy as it applies to them. And like anything, talk to your own physician about whether it might be right for your specific case as well, because it may not be appropriate for every patient out there with ITP.
Thanks for joining us, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Matt.
So what happens when two beloved worlds from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood finally meet? It's a beautiful day indeed. In a brand new PBS Kids special, Donkey, Hodie, and Friends welcome Daniel Tiger and his dad for their very first visit to someplace else, bringing together puppets, music, and lessons inspired by Fred Rogers himself. Joining us are Kristen DiQuillo, co-producer of Donkey, Hodie, and Chris Loggins, supervising producer of Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, to share how this crossover came to life and why it's such a celebration of creativity, friendship, and problem solving. Welcome to the show, you two.
We're doing great.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
All right, so this is the first time Don Quixote and Daniel Tiger have shared the screen. How did the idea for this crossover come about?
It's been something we've been thinking about for, I would say, a few years. Well, definitely at least a couple of years, because we started writing it about 2 years ago. But Don Quixote premiered on air in 2021, and it's the second series produced by Fred Rogers Productions that features reimagined characters and worlds from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. So ever since we launched Don Quixote, we thought about ways that we might start bridging it with Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood and Mr. Rogers. And Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood was the first series we created based on this. So we had started doing elements of that. We introduced trolley on Don Quixote. We introduced speedy delivery service, but we thought at the beginning of season 3, the time was right to bring Daniel and Dad into someplace else and reimagine them as puppets.
And fans will notice some familiar nods to Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Can you share some of the special details or some of these little Easter eggs that viewers should be looking out for?
Sure. Well, I think one big one is the Look and Listen song. Both of our series are very musically driven. Both of our series feature songs, reimagined songs from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. But this is the first time the Look and Listen song is going to appear in either of our shows. And it is threaded throughout the special. So that's one really nice nod. And there are other things like trolley. And you want to talk about the clock?
Sure, yeah. It was fun for us to also include elements from Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood in this special. So what brings Dad Tiger and Daniel Tiger to someplace else is Grampy Hodie has a clock that he can't get to work. And viewers of Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood maybe remember that Dad Tiger works at the clock factory. So he comes to help his old pal Grampy Hodie with his clock.
And Fred Rogers often emphasized creativity and perseverance. How do these values kind of show up in this special?
Lots of ways. We have lots of messages threaded throughout the special, but the first one is about meeting someone new. Daniel Tiger and Dad Tiger arrive on trolley, and it's Daniel and Donkey's first time meeting each other. And for a young child, that can be uncertain, that could be exciting, it could be scary. There's a lot of big feelings wrapped into that. So we offer a strategy for that in the form of course, a really groovy song about asking lots of questions to get to know each other better when you're meeting someone new. And we think that's also, it's just really great timing right now with back to school. A lot of kids are heading back to school and meeting new friends and new classmates. So we hope that's one example of a lesson that will really resonate with everyone.
And Donkey and Daniel persevere in their quest for the rainbow ball. Yeah. So that's also a really fun part of the episode.
Yeah.
And for families that may not watch regularly, why is now a great time to tune in, and how could they help keep supporting PBS and kids programming?
Every day is a great time to tune in. Every day is a beautiful day to watch our shows. But this, we hope, will really help bring forward the messages that are timely and timeless for all of us about managing feelings, problem solving, being resilient in the face of a challenge, meeting someone new, and just being really joyful, having a lot of fun, singing, dancing. I think that's stuff that we all need to appreciate, and it resonates now. And you can watch the special on your local PBS station. So supporting stations is really great.
And we're always thinking about children watching with their family, their parents, and caregivers, and we hope that they can watch together and then talk about the show after they've seen it, and hopefully use some of what's in these episodes in their lives, and that it resonates and stays with them. One thing that Fred Rogers said is if we can make things more mentionable, we can make them more manageable. So hopefully this is an entry point for families to talk about these type of things that we're covering in Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood and Don Quixote.
And is that the real trolley behind you?
It's a replica from the Tom Hanks movie that was filmed in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
The real one is probably encased somewhere.
It's encased, but this one is like as close as you can get to the real thing. The designers of that movie did an impeccable job recreating Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
All right, I just had to find out. Don't miss Daniel Tiger Visits Someplace Else. PBS depends on your support to keep programs like this on the air, so visit your local PBS station's website to donate and help keep these inspiring stories alive for future generations. I want to thank you two for joining me this morning.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Apple TV Plus's epic sci-fi drama Invasion is back for season 3, and things are getting more intense than ever. The aliens are evolving, the stakes are higher, and for the first time, all of the main characters are coming together to face the threat head on. So joining us this morning is Erika Alexander, who steps into the series as Verna, a brand new character shaking things up in the latest season. Welcome, Erika. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I've been excited. We've been talking about this series for a little bit. For fans who have been following the series, season 3 raises the bar a bit. What makes the season stand out compared to the first 2?
Well, the first 2, they were fighting the aliens and they defeated them, and there's been 2 years of peace. So they spent 2 seasons fighting really hard, but we're going to find out in the 3rd season that all is not well on the home front, and they are all together now. That's what's different. They were fighting from different points in the planet, whether it was Shioli in Japan and Gaul, wherever she was. They were. Oh, by the way, this show is an international show because they were filming in South Africa and New York and all of these places. It was a big I guess, lift, and they've been doing it well. And so it was the first time many of them were meeting in real life. So I was glad to join the cast just at that moment.
And your character, Verna, is new to the story. Can you tell us about her and the role she plays in this global fight against the invasion?
Sure. Verna, Marilyn was her name before the invasion. Verna is who she becomes. Was a people pleaser. And she was a person who was in support of her sister and her nephew and her boss and all of these people. But what she finds out on the other side, dealing with her deep grief, is that she becomes something else. And she uses those skills, those organizational skills, and to become a leader. And not necessarily from the greatest place, but she is very human in that journey.
And one of the big shifts this season is that the characters' perspectives, they all finally collide and start, they're forced to work together. How does that change the tone or the energy of the series?
I think it's always really wonderful for people who have been fans and watched the show, for people to start that they've admired, to see how they're going to work against or for with other people that they've never met. And, we imagine that the actors are not necessarily the characters, but I think there's a certain kind of buzz you get when you put 2 things together, like peanut butter and chocolate. So I think that that's really fun. And there's a lot of really great special effects and collaboration with the productions designer and all of these things happening, that, there's certain characters who can speak to telepathy and all of those things. So there's a great design in the way Simon Kinberg built out a huge world. And for the characters to finally meet and work within that world is what this 3rd season is about, along with these apex predator aliens who are coming at us hardcore. And they are scary creatures, but they're also fighting these very human battles.
And yeah, you're right. The show has been praised for its incredible visuals and suspenseful storytelling. What was it like for you stepping into this world and filming these big cinematic moments?
It was a lot. I'm not gonna lie. You need to use your imagination in order to play these characters, because a lot of times you're staring at nothing. I mean, nothing. Look over there, scream, clap, and you just have to go with it. And that there's people who are professionals who know what they're doing. You stay in the moment and you authentically try to deliver something that's spontaneous and brand new and feels fresh, even though you're doing it over and over again. And you've got a lot of amazing background players who are inside of it, and everyone's just working to collaborate to make this world. I think humans are amazing, that we spend a lot of our time just telling stories, and we are desperate for people to understand who we are. I think that is a message in the bottle to whoever shows up, whether we're here or not to see them. We'll see, but I do believe that that's our love letter to the galaxy, is our stories.
Erika Alexander, I want to thank you for joining me this morning. You could stream season 3 of Invasion right now on Apple TV Plus, with new episodes dropping every Friday through October 24th, so don't miss it. Erika, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, and appreciate the opportunity to be with you.
Ever wonder what the secrets lie behind Silicon Valley's billionaire dreams? Sometimes ambition and power can take a dark turn. The new true crime series, The Tech Bro Murders, is now airing on ID, uncovering some shocking cases from the heart of the tech world. So joining us is retired Palo Alto police detective Sandra Brown, who brings decades of firsthand experience to some of these investigations. Welcome to the show, Sandra. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Dan, calm down on the decades now. Okay, you're aging me.
Hey, I'm just trying. I know you've been doing things for a very long time, and you have a new series out, which is kind of exciting. What drew you to be part of the Tech Bro Murders?
I would tell you, I worked for the city of Palo Alto, which is the gateway to Silicon Valley early on back in the 70s and the 80s. Remember, that's where Hewlett-Packard started, a lot of these companies. And even today, the icons of Silicon Valley, Google and Facebook, they live in the city in their compounds and their protection and their security guards, Apple, all that stuff. The people live there in Palo Alto. And so I worked a case back in 1998 that we got contacted by a production company if we really wanted to talk about it. And I was like, yes, I want to talk about this case. And so we produced a series, a 3-episode series called The Tetris Murders that came out in December 5th, 2022. After that was done, it was such a success. People were so interested in it. And if you remember the Tetris game, came out. So when we finished that, I got a call from the production company and asked me, would you want to do some more? And I'm like, no, I'm retired. I'm not doing anything. So sure. So we finished at the beginning of this year, 6 episodes called The Tech Bro Murders. Now, the term tech bro goes way back to the beginning of those icons that started the tech boom in Silicon Valley in California, right? These people are multimillionaires. Some of them are still there. Some of them made it. Some of them didn't. And that's probably where people need to understand. They have this idea that if you can make it in Silicon Valley, your world is going to be perfect. This series lets you know that the grass is not greener on the other side. And so it really brings 6 cases where these people were involved in tech. They made money, they were doing well, but sometimes their lives ended. Sometimes people were killed. And, I think armchair detectives who are sitting at home are going to enjoy this series.
Sandra, you're not supposed to be working when you're retired.
Let me tell you, this is my 3rd career. I worked 30 years in law enforcement. I also did 15 years in working with law enforcement on implicit bias. And then this is my 3rd career. And it fell into my lap, and it's awesome and I love it. But it's very interesting. And again, I don't want people to think that this is all grand and wonderful. People lost their lives. And I've met family members and I've met friends of the people who are no longer with us. And in one of our cases, the 3rd case, Janine Harms, she's still missing. Her body is still missing. And I have my own ideas about that case, but people lost their lives. And I think it's important that we put that out, that Silicon Valley looks good on paper, but in reality, when you talk about greed and you talk about ambition, you talk about power, and you talk about wealth, sometimes it's not always for the best. And a lot of people want to achieve that, but really sometimes people lose their lives.
Is that one of the biggest takeaways that you want people to take from this series? It's not just about the crimes, but some of the people and even the culture behind them?
I think what I want people to understand, when typically over the last 30, 40 years, when we're watching the crime shows, we kind of focused a lot on lower socioeconomic communities, the drugs, the motorcycle gangs, the gangbangers, the crack, the cocaine, all these negative things. And so it builds the stereotype that that's where the murders occur. So then when people look at Silicon Valley, they go, oh, it's so nice. And I want to be there and I want to make a lot of money. I want to be a billionaire. But crime still occurs there. I worked for Palo Alto. People didn't lock their doors sometimes because they felt safe. The reality is crime doesn't have a zip code. It can happen in some of the wealthiest communities, and they will see that in all 6 of these episodes, that crime occurs in some of those highfalutin communities. The grass is not greener on the other side. We still have to take care of ourselves and take care of our families. I think people will enjoy it, though.
Sandra Brown, you are a wealth of knowledge. I want to thank you for joining me this morning. You can catch the Tech Bro Murders Tuesdays at 10 Eastern, 9 Central on ID with new episodes every week. And also you can check out episodes as they stream anytime after on HBO Max. Thanks, Sandra, for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
Do you ever wish your workplace felt more like a fairy tale or maybe a villain's lair? Millions of readers have fallen in love with a TikTok series that turned into a best-selling book phenomenon. The latest chapter, Accomplice to the Villain, is already topping the New York Times list. So joining us is author Hannah Nicole Maehrer, whose mix of magic, romance, and humor has made her one of today's most exciting voices in romanticy. Is that really a word? Welcome to the show, Hannah. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing my best, but I guess I'm still here. Your book started as a fun TikTok series of skits. How did these short videos grow into like a best-selling book series?
Oh my gosh. I think the idea was born on TikTok. So with each video that I posted, the story kind of started to develop itself. These characters started to feel like real and tangible to me. And it became such a exciting idea in my head that I couldn't stand it just sitting in my mind anymore. So I had to sit down to write it. It was probably the most words I've ever written in one sitting. It was like 10,000 words because I'd been waiting to write it. It like spilled out of me. I've never been able to repeat that word count in one sitting. I would love to. I've never seen that girl again. But yeah, that's how it kind of born into a TikTok series to book. And I got to document it all on TikTok.
Fans describe Accomplice to the Villain as Once Upon a Time meets The Office. What inspired you to like blend fantasy with like one of these workplace comedies?
I think it was a lot of the things I consumed growing up. I was a huge fan of Shrek. I loved The Princess Bride, Ella Enchanted, Stardust, like very quirky, fun fairy tales that kind of flip around the story a little bit, but add like a whole bunch of whimsy. And that's what I grew up consuming, and that's all of my favorite stories. So writing a book that kind of incorporates all of those things while also incorporating villains, which is my other favorite thing, was kind of, I think, just a quick pipeline from everything that I consumed as a child to now.
Evie and the villain have such a unique dynamic. What can readers expect from their relationship in this latest book?
Same push pill, slow burn romance that we've always had, but obviously with each book, the tension gets amped up because, you know, we're progressing slowly but surely. The slow burn is probably the most joyous and complaints that I get. It's the in tandem together, and I understand it because I'm also shoving their heads together, but the characters don't listen to me. So I'm just kind of babysitting them at this point.
You're like,
Oh my
please
God.
kiss. Okay, I can see
literally
that
every book
imagery
I'm like,
already.
come on.
You've built a huge community online. How does that instant feedback from the fans help shape your writing?
Oh my gosh, I think it was such a huge motivator when I was writing the book. And I realized how rare that is when you're sitting and writing a book. It's usually such an isolating experience because it's just you and your computer. But with this experience, it was me and my computer. But every time I wrote an excerpt I was really excited about, I would go and I would share it with the audience that had been following along with the TikTok skits and also loved the characters just as much as I do. So it's a really unique experience, but it was definitely motivating while in the writing journey to hear people say, I can't wait to read your book. Hearing that in and of itself was a wild thing. It still is a wild thing to me. So it's amazing.
And since fandom is so deep on this, is there like an issue managing expectations when writing the next chapter? Because sometimes fans take it over and kind of adopt it as their own, and they kind of get upset when things are changing. Is
Yeah,
something
I
there?
encourage people to do that, I think, because this story isn't just mine. It's for everybody that needs it, and everybody that wants to be a part of it is welcome to be a part of it. So I encourage that. I actually think it's really important. But when I go in to write, I don't think about anything else but the characters. I kind of have tunnel vision. So I don't worry about expectations. I don't worry about disappointing anybody because the only thing I'm focused on is making sure I'm doing the right thing for the characters and the right thing for the story. And as long as I'm doing that, that's the compass I follow. I think you can't go wrong because you can't please everybody. So if you try to go that route, you're going to fail every single time. So always stick true to what's true for you.
Hannah, thank you for joining me. Accomplice to the Villain is out now wherever books are sold, and the hardcover special edition of Assistant of the Villain arrives September 16th. So don't miss your chance to dive into this magical, laugh out loud world. Thanks for being here, Hannah.
Thank you so much for having me. It was lovely chatting with you.
Stephen King fans, this one is for you. His very first novel, The Long Walk, is finally on the big screen. From Francis Lawrence, the director behind The Hunger Games, comes a chilling thriller that asks the haunting question, how far would you go? One of the emotional anchors of this film is Judy Greer, playing Miss Garrity, the devoted mother of Ray, the story's central character. Judy, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me.
Okay, this story has been a favorite of King fans for decades. What stood out to you about The Long Walk when you first read the script?
I was really scared of having to see these boys lose their lives. It stood out to me how I guess what was so interesting was that Stephen King wrote this book in 1969, and we're making this movie in 2024 when we shot it, but 2025 when it comes out, and like how still relevant it is, and how you can tell a story about universal themes and that it works no matter what year it comes out. It's always a story about connection, about, I mean, to me, like I see a lot of positive in this story. I see the beautiful relationships that are built, the grace that these men offer each other, and the love and connection.
Your character, Miss Garrity, she brings so much heart to this intense survival tale. How did you approach balancing her love for her son with the fear of letting him go?
Well,
that much I can see.
I felt, how did I balance my love for him with letting him go? You know, I have a stepson who's 25, and as much as I want to control his life and I want him to do everything that I think he should do, because I know that I'm right all the time about everything, we can't control our kids. We have to let them go. We have to give them agency. I mean, I think that's a really literal answer. I think in the world of this story, you know, she doesn't have a choice. And I think these boys don't have a choice. It's voluntary, but you have to sign up for the long walk. So there's really nothing that can be done. But I balance like trusting that I suppose what's meant to happen will happen. But I also feel like Ginny, that's my character's name, she doesn't really balance it. Like, she understands the depth and the gravity of what is going on in a way that she knows her son doesn't yet.
And The Long Walk, it doesn't just thrill, it kind of leaves audiences with the big question about sacrifice, hope, and survival. What do you hope moviegoers Okay, what do you think moviegoers carry with them when they kind of leave the theater?
I love the theater. After I saw it, the first time, I've seen it twice, I was sobbing and screaming at the screen. Thankfully, I was the only one watching it in the screening room, screaming, why? But I left feeling so much love and so much hope in my heart. I guess that's what I think, what I hope audiences will feel as it starts to really stick to your bones. You realize it's a story about love and connection and hope. And Peter McVries, the character played by David Johnson, says, choose love. And it is like gutting when he says it to me.
All right. I'm kind of heartbroken right now.
I love this movie. I really do. I mean, I think it's so beautiful when you really like take away the horror of what we watch. We think like all we have is our connection to other people. All we have is our love for other people. I mean, and this movie is like kind of a little microcosm of life. Like we start walking and then at some point it ends. All that's there is really like trying to connect to people that you don't know and loving strangers maybe.
All right. And everything in between, like trying to connect on the way. All right.
Yeah.
The Long Walk is in theaters now. For Showtime's, head to longwalk.movie and check your local listings to experience this powerful adaptation of Stephen King's first novel on the big screen. Judy, I love you to death. Thank you for joining me this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us this week. That was Rise and Unwind. If you want to check out some behind the scenes and other fun stuff, go to our website, riseunwindtv.com. And be sure to follow us on all your social platforms and subscribe to our YouTube at Rise Unwind. You take care and see you next week, Raleigh.